So do we have any questions for this morning's speakers? Yes.
Thank you. About Dunsapie Loch, what does the word Dunsapie actually mean? And secondly, you said there was no early dating. I think there was a ring found with possibly Alexander the Great's head on it, which is in the museum, presumably from one of the forts.
Say that again?
In the museum, there is a ring with Alexander the Great on it, it's thought.
Oh, yeah, that's from Samson's Ribs fort. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really fine. So it's how it relates to the structures is not entirely known. I don't entirely know what Dunsapie means. Dun is obviously fort, but Sapie inside.
Any other questions? Look, one there.
Jamie again on Dunsapie. Just two questions. Trench 4, you mentioned bone, animal bone. Have you got any idea? I know you're still dating. Any idea of, is it cattle, horses, or is it smaller sheep, pigeons?
I would say it's a mix, although we've not had it properly looked at yet. So, but yeah, I would say a mix of cattle and sheep.
Okay. The second question here is, maybe more for HES, is the interpretation of archaeology in Holyrood is really, really poor. So you any idea if it moves to, given you've been working for a number of years with a field?
Yes, so that is one of the aims of the project. We want to do that either both physically, sort of through kind of interpretation in the park, but also online. And we've got a Holyrood Archaeology Project website that people can go to. That's got student blogs from all the interpretations of the era as they've been doing it. But as we keep going, as we go through the post-ex programme, we'll keep that updated.
I think we had a question at the top there.
A question for Christina, if I may. Your date from the four-poster is obviously a very early date, and unusually so for four-posters, and to some extent may drive bits of the interpretation of the cairn and the kiss. So I was wondering about the taphonomy of the sample. What have we actually dated there, and whether it's possibly just a residual date?
That's a great question.
Unkind question.
I actually don't know where the sample came. The sample is definitely from one of the pits of one of the post holes of the fourth post structure, and I think we did a pair of dates from it, and that's the range that we got from the pair. But I would have to look at the report to be able to fully answer that question. Sorry.
Back to the name Dunsapie, definitely a Gaelic name, which must have been coined between the late 10th century and the 12th century, or slightly into the 13th. The Doon definitely being a fort, so at that period it was recognisable as a fort. My understanding is that the Sapie bit comes from a word meaning the tussocky place, which perhaps implied that it was already very derelict at the time when it was named. Just one other tiny point on place named after. Yeah. On the Flashes, I think the Flashes was mentioned as the name of a place at Goger Mount, and the theory being that it was named from the flashes of gunpowder going off. Much more likely, it just refers to the two small ponds. A flash is a small shallow pond, which you can see on the map.
Hiya, this is for Kai. When you said that the entrance was through the bedrock, was it the entire bit, or was it just the bedrock? I think I might be.
A little portion on the southern side was cut through a little tiny outcrop, but it was essentially just the entrance, yeah, but it was cut right through.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Dunsapie again. You mentioned in passing Prince Albert. I think he was responsible for the road. Is there anything much known about what other work was done at that time?
Well, the reason why I mentioned him, and especially in relation to that structure in Church 5, is that there's a note that he built a cafe on Dunsapie. So it's possible that that is what we found in that north end. And it would be a very nice location for it. But yes, you're right, he built the road round, which is where a lot of that, well, especially a lot of the Bronze Age metalwork and stuff came from, is from that. Yeah, that's why I mentioned Prince Albert, because of
Thank you.
connection.
Any other questions? No? Okay, well, I'd like to join in with me in thanking all our speakers for this morning's talks.